What's up, guys? Moonman here, and I'm in Cave City, Kentucky. Right there is the Mammoth Cave Baptist Church. Here's the cemetery behind it. We are here to visit the grave of a very known and unknown celebrity from this area. The greatest cave explorer ever known, they say, Floyd Collins. Let's go talk about it. A little backstory on who Floyd Collins was. Well, he is known as the greatest cave explorer of all time, but how he got the interest in the caves was as a kid, he would actually explore them. He was from this area, the Mammoth Cave National Park area here in Kentucky. And he would explore caves. Well, in 1917 on his father's homestead, it's a little up the road, it's kind of hard to get to. Don't think we'll have time for that, but he actually discovered a cave and he called it Crystal Cave. At one point, they also called it Floyd Collins Crystal Cave. But he discovered that cave, and when he discovered that cave, he started using it as a tourist attraction. He wanted to be a little bit ahead of the curve. There was already a couple of cave tours out there. He wanted to have his own. So that was all fine and dandy, but the problem with that is there was a bunch of other well-known caves just on the way. So not quite as many people would visit his cave. They would go to the other caves, so it wasn't very profitable. So he set out and he wanted to explore other caves. So he finally found the one. It was the one. It's on his neighbor's property. It was called the Sand Cave. And it's just a little up the road too. I think we're gonna go walk to that because it's a very important part of the story. Well, he made that agreement with his neighbor. They were gonna split the profits on Sand Cave. So he went, he would explore it, he'd go through it. It was a perfect cave. And then one day while he was exploring the cave, a rock fell and hit his foot. It trapped it, it wedged it in there. And then a bunch of other rocks fell. So they had to try to rescue him. They had to try to get him out. They couldn't do it. His fame actually came because some reporters actually visited while he was in the cave, because he was trapped in the cave for quite some time. And they could pass him water and they could talk to him and give him food and stuff, but they couldn't get him out of there. And the guy was reporting it back to the news, and they were playing it on national radio, putting in newspapers. Cave explorer Floyd Collins, trapped in Sand Cave. And the Sand Cave became popular during that time, but no one could obviously visit it because he was in there. And that guy, his name was Skeets. He was the guy who reported it first. He actually won the Pulitzer Prize for his reporting. Now, after about 18 days, he was still in there. Every time they tried to dig mines to get him out. They tried to do everything to get him out. They could not get him out, so, without hurting him more. So eventually they did reach him and dig him out about 18 days later, but he was deceased. He had basically starved and suffocated to death over time, right? Very sad. Well, his story does not end there. Because the logical thing that people did at first was it sealed up Sand Cave. It became the grave of Floyd Collins. Well, why is he not there now? Well, his family actually didn't like that. They didn't like that he was in there. They wanted to get him out. And now that he was passed away, there was no chance that they could hurt him more by trying to get him out. So they got his body out, and instead of burying him, they put him on display in another cave that they owned. And the previous cave, the Crystal Cave, it changed hands. It was owned by like H.B. Thomas. He was a doctor, and he would market it as Floyd Collins Crystal Cave. They no longer really do tours there. But yeah, they got him out and they put him on display. And he stayed in there for a little while. People started visiting the cave to see like the cave, but not just the cave, but this now famous deceased cave explorer's dead body. But this did not last long, however, because some vandals actually broke in to the cave and actually stole the body of Mr. Collins. Well, obviously with the area and locals and everything, it did not sit right with them that this happened. So they put a thing out looking for it. They believed that maybe a rival cave owner might have stole his body. Well, they did return to Mr. Collins's body, but it was not in one piece. It was missing the leg that was in the foot that was initially stuck underneath the rock. So in all due whatevers, that leg and foot is just it was gone to time. It was never, if it ever turned up anywhere, it never was marketed as Floyd Collins' foot, so no one ever really knows what happened to it. And the events of the death took place on April 26, 1925. The theft was shortly after of the body, but the burial of Floyd Collins did not happen until the 1980s. That's when he was moved here to this spot, and they gave him his headstone. It says, William Floyd Collins, born July 20th, 1887. He was buried April 26, 1925, but not here. And he was, that was in the cave initially. And it says, trapped in Sand Cave, January 30th, 1925. Discovered Crystal Cave on January 18th, 1917. Greatest cave explorer ever known. And I do concur to believe that to be true. He's buried right here next to some more of the Collins. Not sure the relation, and there's a few more out this way. But there's a weird note on there. I'm not going to get into it. I think it's someone talking to the deceased by saying that they're back. But yeah, I think we're going to take a little trip out, maybe, to the Sand Cave and go check that out, where he was actually trapped and died. Before we leave, I just want to show you a little bit of the Mammoth Cave Baptist Church here. It was established in 1827. I mean, third Saturday and Sunday. Pretty cool. No longer open to the public, obviously, but this is a old Baptist church, and it looks like we can get a little peek in here, because it looks like the door and stuff are actually open there slightly. It's pretty neat. All right, now let's go over there to the Sand Cave, why don't we? So now we're here at the Sand Cave Trail, Mammoth Cave National Park, and it has a little thing here about, there's a picture of Floyd right there, and it says, for 16 days in February 1925, the world focused its attention on this remote corner of Kentucky. Hundreds of people labored day and night to reach cave explorer Floyd Collins in a narrow passage of Sand Cave, 60 feet below the surface. This walk leads to the side of this valiant but unsuccessful rescue attempt. Let's go see it. This spot, people were coming on February 8th. They were coming, 10,000 people gathered around here to go see the opening of Sand Cave to try to get in it. There was a barbed wire fence. It was constructed to keep people from the rescue site, so it wouldn't bother the rescuers. But it says people would picnic, and there was a concession stand that sold food and drinks. There was like moonshiners giving people stuff in and out, even though it was illegal. There's prayer groups, and pretty much the crowd would go away at night, and but the rescuers had to stay. They did not stop the entire time. It says they even had to, it get kind of cold down there, and they string an electric light bulb down just to try to give him a little bit of heat and keep him warm. So yeah, once the tunnel reached him, he was already dead. Right there is the mouth of the cave. We're gonna go a little further down in there, but that is the cave that Mr. Floyd Collins died at. Imagine all the workers down here. Imagine 10,000 people just right back there. It's hard to imagine even in today's terrain, but when it was even more untouched back in the day, I really can't even imagine it. See all this, these rock structures going over towards the cave mouth. Get a little bit closer. It's quite fascinating. As we now approach this cave mouth, most of it's sealed in, but it is very much cooler over here than it is in other places. I'm not a cave explorer myself, obviously. My name's not Floyd Collins or any variant of that, but I can see why he would really enjoy something like exploring caves. They're actually pretty cool. And it looks like down in there is about where you could go, at least back in the day. Looks like this is the cave, and they filled it in. I do believe so. Yeah, they filled it in right there, so there's really no actual chance of getting down there to it. The fog is really ominous. Well, it looks like it goes right straight. Oh, there, I see it. It's a iron little gate thing there, so you couldn't get any further than that. But that's down in that shaft somewhere. It's where Mr. Floyd Collins passed away. You see some vandals have graffitied parts of the cave, but you walk a little further down in here. Looks like people might actually come down here and do a little bit of activities, like maybe they make fires or something, I guess, or a camp. Pretty neat. You see all the mineral deposits on there. I won't touch that, but that's really crazy. Eventually one day that will be a stalactite. Oh my goodness gracious. Look at all those crickets, those cave crickets or whatever they're called. Those are so many, that's so crazy. All right, so we've seen his grave. Now we've seen the sand cave he passed away in. Floyd Collins, what a man. Always to be remembered. That's it here at the Mammoth Cave Baptist Church Cemetery, the grave of the greatest cave explorer ever known, Mr. Floyd Collins. May you rest in peace. Please like, subscribe, and share. Moon Man, out.